Sonic Superstars. Yeah, I mean, it's fun, but I honestly have no idea why this game is just okay. Maybe it is because it's just too easy, and I need to give it the ultimate challenge treatment. So let's just get into it. Here is the Sonic Superstars Ultimate Challenge. Alright, I will not be able to use mirror mode, which is unfortunate, but let's go through the rest of the rules once again. I cannot use co-op mode, which is probably the easiest rule, and it's probably for the better anyway. Because the last time I did a co-op run, it was certainly chaotic. I can't use checkpoints. I can touch the checkpoints, but I can't use them. I can't use any other of Sonic's abilities. I am allowed to use the spin dash though, which thank gosh, it saved me a lot through this challenge. I can't collect the Chaos Emeralds in this game, which is even more devastating considering the Chaos abilities. I can't kill a Badnik, which is usually the hardest part of these challenges. A Badnik is an enemy that once killed frees an animal and gives you points. Remember this. For some reason, you have to pause the game to see the score instead of it just being displayed at all times like a game normally would. Bosses do not count, and finally, I can only use Sonic. Without any further ado, gotta go fast. Robotnik has captured the animals and forced them into the capsules, but Sonic's goal is to destroy them, so now we drop from the tornado to chase Knack down. Bridge Island Zone Act 1. Now, being the first level, all you have to do is hold right and make some short hops here and there, go through loops, and try not to kill a Badnik. Eventually, we make it to the first boss, who is not really a boss. Yeah, I wonder who saw that coming. Eventually, the act was cleared, and we move on. Bridge Island Zone Act 2. This is just really a harder Act 1, which is nothing to be panicking about. The enemies were annoying to dodge, and that is really it. We make it to the Robotnik boss, and yeah, maybe this is going to the Does Not Deserve Its Own video series. Wait, when I say that, the rest of the challenge is relentless as fuck. Speed Jungle Zone Act 1. Now, the rail grinding is not too bad, which is pretty nice. Sure, these Badniks explode, but it does not give us points, so it's safe. The plant bombs were not so innocent either, due to obvious reasons, and the worst part of this level is the vine jump, which is really painful to pull off because of those dang bats. Somehow they have studied to be the most annoying enemies for this challenge, which is not fun to deal with. Some of this level is spent in the tunnels, which is not too bad, but I would recommend taking the higher path to avoid these stupid sections right here. We make it near the boss gate, and I think Tails missed the memo of this challenge. Eventually we make it to the boss, and thankfully it was not that hard, and that is another act cleared. Speed Jungle Zone Act Sonic. To be honest, this feels more like a cutscene level than an actual level. Feng does come here and there, shooting lasers and missiles, but it's not all too bad. The badniks in the level are annoying to avoid, but nothing to sweat about. The next Feng chase is nothing special, and the next wave of badniks was just a piece of cake. The final Feng chase was just a joke, and that is another act complete. Speed Jungle Zone Act 2. Now, for some stupid reason, this level's gimmick is being a dark level, and you can only see around Sonic. I wonder where this is going in terms of how difficult this level is going to be. The tube sections were nothing special. I feel like I am going to destroy a badnik in the dark sections. There's also an endless fall section in which I was worried about hitting another badnik. In the next dark section, I have to use the fact that Sonic falls back when hit to my advantage to get on top of platforms. The section immediately after that is also stressful because you have to carefully jump around the spike badniks. And the badniks have destroyed so many runs for me. I mean, just look at this. I have to have gotten extremely good luck for that to happen. I could not plan that. After this badnik platform section, it is all smooth sailing from here, and we eventually make it to the Robotnik boss fight, which all you have to do is aim the arm to the robot itself, and that is another zone cleared. We head to a fan and somehow fly hundreds of miles in the air. Jeez, this game can't get any harder, right? Sky Temple Zone is one of the only few stages that has only one act. And honestly, these levels are usually the most painful to go through because of the immense difficulty, and they're just long levels. Sky Temple has you be blown up by fans, and there are a lot of these platforms that could not get a job in the new Super Mario Bros. Console games. Thankfully, the laser cannons do not have a flicky nor give you points. The pinball parts are easy to get by. You have to be patient when it comes to waiting for these cloud enemies to get out of the way. The pole sections are thankfully a breath of fresh air. Eventually, we make it to inside a tornado, and other than the looming threat of a death pit, we make it to the boss, and it was not too bad. And that is another zone cleared. Sonic thinks that a balloon is gonna hold his weight, and Sonic falls down. I think Sonic failed physics class. Despite him ignoring physics entirely. Never mind. Pinball Carnival Zone Act 1. Pretty generic name, but here we are. That one Sonic level in every Sonic game where it is either a carnival or a pinball level. It is here that I learned that I have a gambling addiction for rings. Luigi on the DS, and the fact that you are teaching kids how to play picture poker. Unfortunately, the fat enemies return, and they are ruthless. This and every level they appear in after that. These wheel things are annoying because if you gain too much kinetic energy, then you find yourself flinging yourself to an enemy. Eventually, missiles are being fired at every corner, and we make it to the boss of this level, and honestly, it's not too bad, and that's another stage cleared. Pinball Carnival Zone Act 2. Once again, the difficulty of this level has skyrocketed. Here, you now have to move on a fast-traveling roller coaster, which I'm not sure if they're safe because there are no seatbelts or restraining harnesses in sight. Robotnik. That is a safety violation on its own. This level, we have to destroy the Robotnik tower in the background as we go along through this level. There are these switches that toggle fire, which is not really the greatest gimmick in the world. And oh boy, another one of those I need invincibility frames to get over this rock part. The second roller safety hazard part has gotten even worse. Now there are spike enemies jumping on, forcing you to jump. And that is the last few things I want to do on a roller coaster. The next few badniks were just tricky to get around because they are placed in the worst spots imaginable. And the final roller safety hazard ride was the worst one of them all. You have to jump or else you will die. Okay, at this point, Robotnik has to go to court. Someone could have died there. Eventually we make it to the boss, and all you are doing is rolling around at the speed of sound, and it's not hard. And we finally beat this act, and then Sonic has the bright idea to jump into a pipe filled with water. I thought you were the type of person to avoid water, but oh well. Lagoon City Zone Act 1. Oh boy, we made it to the water stage of this game. The level gimmicks have basically nothing to do with this challenge, but the most notable one is the water pressure. You have to carefully jump to jump higher, which does transform Sonic into a ball, which is no good. This level starts with water slides, and you have to damage boost to get past this seal badnik, go down more gizmos, damage boost through more enemies. Oh hey, we're already at the boss. Oh, it summons enemies. Oh, it kills them. Yeah, we're safe for now. After whatever the heck that was, we made it past the water level, which is a plus in my book. And it seems like Trip tripped and fell into a dungeon. Oh well, too bad for her. Alright, because we have to skip the character act, we will just move on to Lagoon City Zone Act Amy. Well, this has destructive implications that this is the only character level that is required to beat this game. Oh, and a new rule. If any level is impossible, I can break all of my rules, and to be honest, you have no idea how good it feels to whoop the badniks into oblivion without consequences. Amy saves Trip, and that's it. I will continue with the challenge because I promised this video for September, and because of this I may have to return to Sonic Mania in another video. Lagoon City Zone Act 2. To be honest, this level could have been 10 times worse. You do have to start the level by jumping over crabs, but the tubes were not bad to deal with, and the chompers can go suck a... Drowning is thankfully not a big concern for this level. Unfortunately, Trip is trapped by an octopus and for some reason won't let us through, but oh well, the bubble has saved me from drowning on several occasions. After carefully avoiding some more badniks, we destroy a wall, unleashing a massive wave, and we make it to the Robotnik fight. Platforming on the torpedo drills were annoying, but all we have to do to damage the boss is hit the button. After the fight, we have just cleared another zone. Now we can follow a dragon's body to a desert level. Sand Sanctuary Zone. Now this is the first level where it took me over 2 hours to figure out a good path for this level. So here's what you're going to want to do to survive this hellscape. Spin dash past this patch of quicksand, quickly jump across sinking blocks. After getting up the falling sand, Run across the next dragon patch, jump over this spike ball enemy that appears in every 2D Sonic game ever, spam the next couple of jumps in the lowering sand to avoid those enemies. Then jump onto the floating platforms and carefully avoid spike scorpions. And then damage boost past this gumball enemy, go up sand, avoid turkey hammers, and then carefully jump onto the railings. And then do the same thing again, only this time you're on a curving dragon, go on top of more falling sand, go through the loop, and wait a few seconds before you make it to the next checkpoint. Then to avoid the spiders you have to crouch, but that will make you turn into a ball, so you gotta turn the other direction or else you're gonna curl into a ball and kill them. Quickly jump on these blocks to avoid gumball enemies, form on floating platforms, go into this portal, platform and avoid buzzsaws, go onto the rails and run away from the turkey hammer, wait for the badniks to get out of the way to get by, avoid some more spike scorpions, and jump onto the railing if you have to. Be patient with the gumball enemies, and we make it to the boss. Although Robotnik does summon enemies, it can't be that beat the ever-living out of Robotnik, and we can proceed. So unfortunately, this is another impossible level, and we fall into scrap metal for some reason. Press Factory Zone Act 1. At first sight, the level mechanic may seem like a curse, but it saved me from having to curl up into a ball to jump. And because of that, it made this level so much easier. And because of that, it made it so much easier to damage boost past enemies that I could not get past beforehand. It saved me from tight corridors with the badniks, which is always a plus, especially helping with getting past the flamethrower vacuum badnik things. The orb racket thing, it does not free a flicky, nor does it give us points, so we are fine. There are some sections, however, where you can't jump too high, or you have to go back down, but it's not too much of a problem. We make it to the boss, and all I have to say about this boss fight is just stay near the middle. We destroy the pressure thingy, and we can move on to the next level. Press Factory Zone Act 2. Now this level is so much more stressful than the first act by a mile. Robotnik sends a drone to destroy the factory with Sonic inside of it. In order to stop this countdown, pressing buttons scattered throughout the level ought to do the trick apparently. And the spin dash helped me with getting to said buttons quicker. Carefully maneuver around crushers, and when you make it to these platforms, immediately spin before you see those light bulb enemies that ruin the Sonic CD run. Or run into Sonic while Sonic is spinning. The orbs thankfully were not much of a problem, but at first, the flamethrower enemies seemed to be in the worst possible place, right? Well, you can carefully avoid this enemy by jumping on top of the ledge and then jumping over it. The fire rising platforms tested my patience, and we make it to the corridor that I'm most proud of. You can't jump over this flamethrower enemy because the hallway is just too tight, and there's a crusher. So what do? If you said wait until the crusher falls and then take damage, therefore you have enough invincibility frames to get past the flamethrower enemy, then give yourself a pat on the back because you are correct. After carefully maneuvering around more enemies and crushers, we make it to a spaceship. And once again, we avoid crushers, enemies, and we make it to the button to cancel the instant death timer. Eventually, you have to carefully move around these enemies. And after taking hits, once the rightmost one goes to the highest point, do a short hop, and you will get out of there without any problems. Eventually, we make it to another spaceship, and Robotnik fires missiles at it. And Sonic goes skydiving, and we make it to the boss. Admittedly, I struggled with this boss, but after much patience, we can now take the platform to the City of Gold. No, I'm not talking about Las Vegas, but, never mind, that holds up. Golden Capital Zone Act 1. Once again, this is a pinball-based level, but this time it's more around rings. This is another one of those levels where I spent too long trying to beat, but after many tries, I think I have come up with the perfect pathway. First, you want to take the lower path until you get to the magnet power. Then climb up the platforms, then carefully jump onto the pole to the right. Thankfully, the drill sections are just pure filler and have no challenge to them. So it is a nice little button masher. Then once you go upside down, carefully platform between the enemies and time your jumps to make sure you're not hit by the sparks of electricity. Once you make it to the background pinball thing, make sure to take the lowest path because the higher path will take you to a nearly impossible place. And the lower path is just simply so much better. Make it to the lower path and grab the shield on your way to the lower path to make jumps easier. Aim for this pole jump to the left. Do not take the portal because it will send you to the higher path, which is an impossible section. Carefully platform across bubble. After the second drill, you have to damage boost across the Mantis Badnik. What you're going to want to do is you have to aim to the left and do a short hop and do a higher jump in that order. And the Mantis Badnik will throw the blade. And you have to jump into it, causing Sonic to fall back to the right, allowing us to proceed. Then carefully move around the enemies, then make sure to get as many rings as you can for the next boss. The pig boss will absorb all of your rings, and the best strategy is to attack the pig while it's going on the slope. And there you go. And this has nothing to do with the challenge, but collecting all these rings is so satisfying. And once you have completed this act, thankfully Act Knuckles is optional, so we can now proceed. And apparently Knuckles has also missed the memo of the rules of this challenge, but Finn corrects that by stealing the Chaos Emeralds. Golden Capital Zone Act 2. Now, for some reason, despite clearly being the harder level, I struggled with this level less than I did with the first act. We start by pinballing our way to the cannon, then take the shield from here, and then we make it to the lava platform section. And honestly, it could have been so much worse, but thankfully, damage boosting did come to the rescue. Thankfully, taking this higher route has helped me skip many enemies, and oh, look at that, we're already at the boss. Though it was very stressful, I managed to beat Fang on my first try. Fang then abuses Trip, and Trip retaliates by... Okay, did every other playable character in this game miss the memo for this challenge? First, Tails in Speed Jungle, defeating Badniks. Next, Amy being a playable character when she was not supposed to in Lagoon City. Knuckles collecting the Chaos Emeralds in Golden Capital. And Trip using the Chaos Emeralds in Golden Capital. Trip then goes super and destroys a very unimportant boss to this challenge. Honestly, thank gosh, I do not want to deal with that boss again. And we have now officially befriended Trip. Cyber Station Zone. Okay, how do I say this politely? You, Cyber Station, go ahead and suck a mother... And then... Can you tell that I hate this stage? The rope has Sonic curl into a ball and jump into the air, which is already a red flag. Then you have to get up to this wire without going to the upper wire. Then head to the left and go through another wire and carefully avoid Badniks and lasers. Damage boost across an enemy and fall onto the left side so that you land on a shield monitor. Then once you become a squid, just play like normal. Only you cannot dash forward. After that exhausting bit, once you get onto this next jump line, go to the left path. Carefully avoid the Badniks and immediately after, jump out of the line and into this tube to avoid a difficult part of the level. Grab both shields and... weird! The last time I checked, blue was staying still and orange was move. Oh well. The next part has Sonic become Mr. Needle Mouse and just play this part like normal. And I just want to say, those cats to hell. After avoiding another portal and jumping away from the death pit, use another damage boost to get past all these Badniks. Do it again, and then Sonic is back to being a stupid squid. And all you have to do is do the same thing as last time, and then we make it to the incident. Sonic becomes a spaceship and charges forward. For an example, I have no time to react. Sure, this section is theoretically possible to do this without hitting a Badnik, but I have no patience to do everything in one run, like I do with the other stages. Otherwise, I would have to do all of this all over again. So I'm just gonna breeze through the Badniks. After we make it to the boss, no way! Metal Zev Green, what are you doing here? Anyways, I have to defeat him and... okay, screw it, I am redoing this, and I am going to get the payback for you destroying my run, you soul. We beat the... oh, now he's big. Wait, what's this? The boss randomly summons enemies that spawn too quick for me to react? Thank gosh! Now I can beat this level without having to retry. After kicking my metal. This is another impossible level, and we can now thankfully proceed. Thank God! Frozen Base Zone Act 1. Ha, finally a level where I don't want to destroy my gaming setup. This level uses conveyor belts, and they copied the on-off blocks from Super Mario Maker 2. The Badniks for this level goes as follows. One of them you have to hold still, then it will be slightly bright, but they will not bother you. Those Badniks that appear on the conveyor belts that make you take a hit, and that is really it in terms of new enemies. Overall, this level is one of the easiest for this challenge. The Continental Drift part of the level has the Egg Fortress Rising, is a little complicated, though it only lasts for so long. Eventually we see that Trip has gotten a nearby Yeti to hold us the entrance to the next boss. This bird boss is very annoying, considering it summons enemies that move towards Sonic. The conveyor belt is also annoying to deal with this boss, and the final hit just feels impossible to land at some points. But eventually we beat the boss, and that is another boss cleared. Thankfully, Act Tails is optional, so we can now proceed. Frozen Base Zone Act 2. This level's a breeze. Get it? Huh? Sonic takes flight in Robotnik's aircraft, and we interrupt Sonic Superstars to bring you those airplane levels from Cuphead. But this time, it's not hard, and it's not good. Also, for some reason, the enemies in this level do not give you animals nor points, so I'm just gonna say it's possible. We make it to the boss, and to say it was pathetic was an understatement. Still, we cleared the zone and destroyed the entrance to the Egg Fortress. Egg Fortress Zone Act 1. Alright, here we are. The final zone in this game. And this level is one of the best conclusions to this challenge. And here is what you're going to want to do to finish this level. Destroy the laser pillar, go through the hallway while avoiding the centipede badniks, avoid the fire at the spinning ring, carefully jump around the torpedo badniks, damage boost across spike bombs to avoid more badniks, to avoid the saw badniks, wait until it throws the saw, then jump over them. Do an anti-gravity section, and immediately after reaching the checkpoint, supercharge a spin dash and do a short hop once you get to the edge to avoid the saw badnik and avoid the torpedo enemies before the walls collapse on Sonic. Keep on following towards the lower path, slowly go through the digital room, damage boost 2 times to avoid killing badniks, destroy another laser pillar, carefully hop in another hallway avoiding the centipedes, once again avoid the fire around the ring, once on this platform, damage boost past torpedoes, and you will make it to this ledge. Do a short hop, and more torpedoes will approach you. Then charge up a spin dash and land carefully on the floor before damage boosting through the next few torpedoes. Avoid the badniks and go through yet another anti-gravity section. Then carefully make a precise jump across these torpedoes. Damage boost. Go through another digital room. Then charge another spin dash and do another hop. Take damage and get out of the hallway before you get crushed. Destroy the final laser pillar, then carefully avoid the centipede badnik while carefully platforming, and we finally made it out of this act. Robotnik then reverses time, and then goes backwards through where we just came from. Now Sonic has to chase Robotnik down. Egg Fortress Zone Act 2. Alright, here we are. The final level in this game. This level is going to be very climactic. So, it is impossible to beat the first room because the platforms disappear and you have no time to avoid the badnik in time before the platforms fall. Anticlimactic? Yes. Satisfying as hell? Hell yeah. To brash through all the enemies in reverse order that brought you torture and pain. Beautiful. And the final boss was also satisfying to kick Robotnik's for all the trouble he has put us through. We kicked the final Death Egg robots, and we escaped the Egg Fortress, and that is the Sonic Superstars Ultimate Challenge. Well, it is now time to answer the question. Can you beat the Sonic Superstars Ultimate Challenge? Unfortunately, no multiplied by 4. Although it does suck. Thanks for watching this month's video. Thank you for letting me have the break from the past 2 months, and hey, I might redo Sonic Mania if this video does well. Because let's be honest, out of all the videos, I need to fix that one the most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next month. Do 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 do.